Hello and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Recruiter. I am absolutely delighted to have you on, Helen. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
we're having another Franglish episode. I had Slimman, my old ex head of marketing, on and brand a few weeks ago, and I'm sporting some French stuff for you. I have my Toulouse.
Yeah, Toulouse, but I'm more Stade Français.
Yeah, I know. And I've also got my
And I think,
brand on.
yeah,
I'm on brand. I'm on French brand today, and I've got my Harry Potter cup for
yeah,
the
of
English
course.
contingent. So anyway, enough about that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you, what you're up to, and then we can get into it?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Hélène. Actually, I'm the CPO of 15 Tech. So 15 Tech is a startup working on helping companies to be more diverse, inclusive, and equit best workplace.
Okay, perfect. And I would love to kick off because one of the things that's been spoken about a lot is about product mindset. How do you set your team up? How do talent teams and people teams set up? And the product mindset, the product-led way of working is something that's coming up more and more. And I just wondered if you could just give an overview of like what is product, what does it mean, what is the processes, and just to give people like an overarching view of exactly what this could mean from an actual product perspective.
So product is a lot of things, but if so there is a vision, there is the product vision that is very important, but the process, how product is working just to try to build great product is simple. It's iterative development, so it's having iterative cycles of development and feedback to refine the product continuously. It's also something very important. It's cross-functional teams. So it's fostering collaboration among cross-functional teams just to leverage diverse expertise. That is very key, I think. Of course, the user-centric design, just to understand and prioritize the needs of users, but also their pain points. And data-driven decision, that is very, very key. So it's quite difficult for project team to find the right KPIs that are not related to business, because this is something different. It's of course related, but we have to find the right KPIs for product, and it's different from a business KPI. And also continuous improvement, always. So it's adopting a mindset,
The Kaizen mindset, right? Like
improvement through always regular reviews, feedback, and adaptation.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good summary of exactly where.
Yeah. So this is the process of the mindset of how we are working usually in product teams.
Okay, and something that we've spoken about a lot in the past is, how do you know you're on the right track? How do you know things are going wrong? And how do you know what to improve rather than just going, I think this is the problem. Right? And I think the thing is the feedback loops that you've always.
Yeah, so I think that it's two things, feedback loops. And so feedback loops, it's not about having a user interview or a user survey once a month and one user a month. It's having more than one. I think 10 or 20 is quite good. But what is key is the regularity. Okay. If you just do it once a quarter, it's not enough. You have to have it really continuously. And this is very helpful to make a decision on what you should prioritize as an initiative. Because if something is really, there is a pain point, there is something that is not working, and well, the majority of your user giving you this feedback, this is the priority you have to look into.
Okay, and I think
and data.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And again, we've spoken about this before, but something that comes up a lot with the TAs is just because you get one bit of feedback or two bits of feedback doesn't mean you should just suddenly just change the whole process, right?
No,
Like
yeah.
what decision making process do people have to go through?
It's also depending on what stage you are in your company. For instance, I think you need more than one feedback, because one person doesn't have necessarily the good solution or the good need. So you need to have a big sample of same feedback in order to decide to make a change. But also, if you are very early stage, this could be a good thing to have 2 or 3 feedback from potential customer, just to go into down that road. So it's depending also on the stage of your product and the stage of your company. But usually, if you have a product and a go-to-market product, then you will need more than one feedback to make a decision.
Okay, so you need more than one feedback to make that decision. And what about when you hear people say, "Oh yeah, but I've got feedback loops. I've got an NPS. I've got a candidate
NPS, yeah,
NPS."
well, NPS, I don't like NPS. NPS is very good for marketing. It's very good for branding. It's very good for your self valorization and your ego as a business owner, for instance. But NPS doesn't tell you anything about what is happening in all the workflow of your project.
Okay, so if that isn't necessarily the right solution, how and where do you get these bits of where do these feedback loops sit on the journey, do you think? And how do you gather that information?
So at every stage. So for instance, usually when you launch a product, you have the onboarding stage. So you need to look at the data. So depending on your project, your data will change. So it could be the time, the onboarding, all onboarding is done, or some key features are done within a very short time. But this could be the good thing. If it's too long, you have to maybe there are a lot of tools, and you can ask one question at a time during the journey of the user, just to get feedback and qualitative feedback.
Yeah.
So this is important. There is a lot of tool you can
No,
use.
yeah, of course. It's just I was thinking like like an example, maybe like you said before, like at the job description phase,
Yeah,
once you apply, if it could come up and say something like, "How easy did you find it to apply for this job?" Or like you
yeah,
could ask anything you want.
yeah. So this is what we've done at 15 Tech, because we saw a lot of super long job description, and the application rate was decreasing regarding the length of the job description. So this was something, and it was just data. Okay. So starting from there, we put in place a survey just to ask, what do you think about this job description? And so it was only women that were answering, and I think it was too long, too complex. The requirement were so huge. They have the feeling that they should do and they should know to do everything. So it was a first survey, and then we did a very long study among more than 100 men and women, just to understand every stage of process recruiting and the job description, the first thing. And they all agreed on the complexity and the length of the job description. So for that, we dig into that and help recruiters just to have a better and a simple template for the job description. And also with the R&D team we have in 15 Tech, we worked a lot on a methodology just to simplify every requirement, hard skill and soft skill, for any job description. And it's good because the application rate rise.
And there was so this is like a solution to something, right? And the other day I posted a video about the difference between a product mind approach and a systems led approach, right? And the example that I was giving in a product example led company or decision making process is you're trying to fix an isolated problem, right? And the isolated problem, this example could have been that you were getting a drop off at the application. In fact, like from application to first stage interview, there was a massive drop, right? So you found a tool that simplified the process, that made it easier for people to book a call and do this type of stuff. And then people could actually see, oh, actually, this is great. This actually works. But all you're doing is you're just fixing a symptom of a larger problem. So it's like, how do you take that step back to have a more like systems-led approach, which would be looking at the whole of the process to be like, right, is that a symptom of a more systemic problem? And then you fix something that was even bigger, that fixes more things. And then you've systemically fixed the process rather than just kind of like putting a plaster on something, you know, because you might think you'll fix the problem. So I think you said to me before, this type of thing leads into like data, right? Like you need the data to be able to do this. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
that? So in projects, you have to see the whole thing, and you have to so feedback loop from a user, but not only your product users, your internal users as well. Coming from a recruitment process, all your employee did it. So they can also give you some feedback about their experience. Even if they succeed to join your company, I'm sure they have some points that you could improve, and they can share it with you. You need also to so there is the recruitment, but also the onboarding and the way the retention. So it's all the thing, and you have to gather everyone. So recruitment, hiring manager, I think also team members, and to understand what is the overall process and if maybe through data you can find something that is not working, and maybe it's because hiring managers are biased, recruiters are biased as well. And so you have to understand everything and then decide to slice every problem. You cannot fix everything in one time. You slice the problem and you prioritize, and then you go deeper and deeper, and you go stage by
you
stage.
go deeper and deeper into it. And how do people prioritize? Because one of the biggest complaints you hear is, I don't have enough time to work on this stuff. I need to deliver. I need to hire. I've got pressure to hire. I don't have the time to take a step back and like look at this process and do that type of stuff. Now imagine you're able to carve some time out. How do you prioritize? How do product teams prioritize what needs to be done?
So we have a lot of frameworks for that. There is one, I love it, and it's called RISE. So it's the reach, the impact, the confidence, and the effort. Why do I love it? It's because the reach is all about deciding how which customers, which users, how many users will be impacted by this initiative. Okay, so this is something business can understand, salespeople can understand, everyone can understand, depending of the unit you choose. Okay, and then the impact is you will reach this idea will reach maybe 80 or 800 people. The confidence you have in the impact in the journey of the user is high or low or medium. And then the effort. So the effort is more about, okay, tech and project team, how many resources we will need to develop the thing, how long will it take, and then it's a simple equation and formula, and then you have a rank to help you prioritize things.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's a very good framework.
Okay. So
in a very, very not only on project but in different.
It's applicable across, like you say, multifunction.
Yeah, exactly.
So now they've got all these ideas, all these initiatives, all these things. They apply this framework, or and then they put it into what? They put it into a roadmap, right? Or they put it into a prioritization. Or
you prioritize, so it's easy. Usually, you take the one that is require less effort, just to have a quick win and more impact on on users or client, whatever. And then you go to the next one.
Okay, so this is what I really want to pick your brains about this. So now we've got the roadmap, right?
Yeah.
We've got a list of all the things you've done. Let's say you've got one project, which is to assess the is to implement feedback loops in the process.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good example.
It's a very good example.
Now this is a specific project.
Yeah.
How do you manage that project? What should you do if you're doing this properly, rather than just go, yeah, we're going to implement some feedback loops, and then just willy-nilly, like, okay, we're going to add something here, something there. Da, da, da.
Well, you have to talk to your users just to understand if a feedback loop is put in place for at each stage. It could be a bit annoying for a candidate that is doing all the process. So you have to understand the length of the survey you want to have. You have to define also the number of feedback you want at each stage within a month. You have to decide, and also you have to brainstorm with all the people that are involved in the recruitment process. So candidates, of course, but also recruiters, hiring manager, and I think you have to also ask team members. Not all the company,
but some participation.
Some of them.
And how do you get the buy-in from them when typically TA is seen as an administrative support function at the moment? With like one of the things that I'm working on at the moment is like, how do we change that perception, right? But how do you get them to see this as an important thing?
So the thing is, usually data is very helpful because it's a fact. Okay, our pipeline is unbalanced, so maybe for some job position there is very few women or very few men, because for some departments it's the other way around. And you can also dig into data and also see the impact within a team. So just to help people understand that is key. It is key, not just only for the recruitment process, but there are some impact within the team, in the company, and the cultural things, the work-life balance, the well-being of all your teams. It's important if you want to keep people you recruit. And then it's all about communication. So everything you're doing has an impact on the whole company. So this is why it's key also for project just to do our work, get some feedback, analyzing and prioritize the initiative. But then it's key to communicate among all the team so everyone understands why you will spend some time to do something
on this specific thing.
and what are the outcome you want to get from the initiative, how long it will take, and then what will be the next step. Just to have that, just to give them and to share all the vision. It's all about the vision and what you want to change.
Okay.
And why. The why is super important. Why?
Of course. Yeah, exactly. Why this? Why now?
Yeah,
Right?
why this? Why
why
that?
this problem?
And to have some proof.
Yes. Backing it up with the data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Data and feedback.
Yeah.
So
and
it's all about the discovery thing. It's giving some trends, behavior trends, because people are changing. The technology, the society, everything is changing. So the expectation of every user, the expectation of your employees, the expectation of everyone is changing super fast.
Yeah.
So you have to keep
and
your mind update and your product update and your processes update, of course, as well.
And I think, as you said, if you don't have your finger on the pulse, which is effectively like you go to the doctors, right? The first thing they do is they hook you up to a machine, they check your blood pressure, check your stuff, you're on a machine, like, like when they're looking after a patient, they can see what's going on with your vitals, right? You can see what's going on. And I think that's effectively what you're trying to do is by having this kind of like feedback loops here, you combine that with your kind of market intelligence of what's going on in the market, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And all of this then becomes a bit like Ben Ford, who I spoke to before. He has a company called Mission Control. And I always imagine that eventually recruitment and people teams having this actual like, not like a war room, but like a mission control where they can actually see everything that's going on in real time of like, maybe it's a bit overkill for recruitment, right? But you know what I mean? You can still have a snapshot of what's going on. You can see and you can dig into that data when you need to. But the skill that I'm hearing from you as well is storytelling. So how do you create a compelling enough story within your business case to show that this is the right priority right now for the team, to take time away from doing a bit of development, to take time away from doing a bit of the product?
So it's really about communication, education, transmission, and you have also your gut. Okay. So you need to, I think you need to listen to it, because usually gut is really reasonable, because it's keeping all data, external, internal, and your brain is working just alone. So, and give you the gut that this is the way to go. But if you want to bring everyone in the same direction, because if you have some resistance, because resistance of change is really something that is happening all the time. You have to understand also all the people you are talking to. So sometimes it's not about talking to everyone at the same time. It's doing it team by team, and adapt also your language, the thing that you want to share, just to help them understand, and also give them some room for don't agree with that, and also listen to them, because, well, you have to think that everyone is smart in your company. So everyone has something smart to tell, and it's also important to take it into account. And you have also to rely on the smartness of everyone.
And something that you mentioned before is knowing where the potential problem is, or how do you emulate good parts of the process? Because we always focus on the things that don't work, but we never really tend to look at the stuff that's working and how can we replicate that further down the line, right? And something I'm interested in is the actual journey, right? Because some people are calling like candidate journey just a fad, and some people are like, no, this is essential. And when things calm down again, people won't care about the candidate experience because there'll be so many candidates. But how could you explain to someone how to map out the user journey, and then what you can do with that journey after it's been mapped? So taking from the moment somebody sees a job application to the moment that they're being like pre-onboarded, right? Like what process can they do to map that out? And do you think it's a good exercise or not?
Yeah, I think it's a good exercise. Of course, it's a good exercise. The thing is, something that is great at at some point could be bad in 2, 3, or 1 year later. But anyway, if something is, it's always the feedback. If you have someone that is pre-onboarded, it could be a good things to ask them. What was great? What was not great? What do you so you can you can see if that is really great. So keep it, and it's great to see if you can replicate it on other stages,
Yeah.
just to improve everything.
Okay, because I really think it's something everyone can do, and super simply. It just takes a bit of time.
Yeah, it's super simply, and you have so many tools now that you can just plug and use.
Yeah,
to help
and
you.
and if you think about it, like someone always used to say to me, like you view everything in moments, right? So if you said to somebody, what was it like in your interview process? They might, oh no, if I said to you, what was it like in your last company? You would talk about the peak moments and you'd talk about the trough moments. You're not going to be talking about that time you walked to the office.
I think this is super key, because when you ask someone for feedback, you have to be very specific. It's not a generic thing.
Exactly.
It's really about, okay, so what did you like? What did you dislike during our processes? And can you tell us about a great experience you had previously? We don't care about the company, but can you describe what you liked in a previous experience? So be very specific. Otherwise, you will have generic feedback or only bad feedback about what is not working within your process. And it's all about just open your mind to other stuff and not sticking to your own journey. So yeah, this is a good point, I think, as well.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And also, what is important about the system is the recruitment process is the first.
It's the front line.
Yeah. So you have to be transparent, and you have to ask yourself as a recruiter team if everything is aligned with the culture of your brand, of your because otherwise, if it's too great and the company is shit, there is a delta that is not.
Yeah, and this is it. There's still,
and the experience will end badly.
Exactly. And I mentioned it in the last podcast, but I'll bring it up again. But there was a guy I was listening to, and he was basically saying that the more candidates now that are applying for jobs is probably more than any recruiter's been used to in the tech space. So naturally, it might be harder and overwhelming to be able to return and get back to every single person, which is in turn creating a poor experience and stuff like that, which means they need to fix this problem, right? It's a quick fix. However, what he was saying is that once they've had a poor experience, there's quite a strong likelihood that they might not become a customer.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which company had this. They had this big problem. They switched. They were losing maybe like £1 million or $1 million a year through poor candidate experience.
Yeah, but of course, it's the first impression you have. Just when you meet someone, the first impression is key.
Yeah,
it's super key.
Yeah.
And then if you just have the time and make the effort to dig into, you can change your mind. But it's always in the back of.
If somebody's listening to this and they're like, right, this sounds really interesting, I'm going to try and roll out some feedback loops, and I'm going to try and take more of a data-driven approach to this type of stuff. how do you bring all that data together and all that information together? Do you have any recommendations on that? Because most of the time, ATS data is pretty closed. You can't normally, some of it you can export, but it's quite messy. So how do you work with all these different siloed
I
data?
think so. This is something we do at 15 Tech. For instance, we understood that women are super stressed starting their application. So it was important for us
And this
to
is from your study, right?
yeah, yeah, to simplify, but from our data as well.
Yeah.
So and so we have some company that are connected with. We can connect our platform with their ATS, so that way we can just follow the whole process and the pipeline, and to see if there is a drop of women at some stage, and usually there is one, usually at the test stage, because women are super, super, super stressed for this one. So it's starting that, and then I think you have all the employee survey that you can also just analyze and have a simple dashboard. So I think employee perception, the first 3 months are key because they are very motivated. They have dreams on their career, doing everything within your company. And you should ask the same thing 1 year after, or maybe a semester after, just to this is data. It's always data, and just have a simple dashboard. Just simple dashboard. You don't need, and there are some great tools. You can just plug Airtable with rows, or other tools that are doing everything for you.
And this is actually a lot. This could, for somebody that's a TA that is not very techy, right?
Yeah.
It could sound a little bit scary, but
No,
these
it's not,
tools
because it's
are super
really for
simple.
it's no code tool. So
Yeah,
no
they're
code
completely
tool
no code. You just have to
for
have the idea and the logic, right? That's it. You just need to understand the logic of like what are you trying to do?
yeah, and you can also go to your project team
Yeah,
mate and ask
yeah.
some idea, and I'm sure every teammate will be happy to help you.
But it's exactly. I was talking to Pierre Arnold from Back Market the other day, and
Yeah,
this is exactly what he was repeating what you were saying, or saying what you were saying about this cross-function, multifunctional type of role. And he was like, if you want to understand about finance, go and speak to
yeah,
the
of
finance
course.
person and say, I want to be better at budgeting and can you help me? Or go and see someone in product and say, look, I'm trying to do this. Could you give me some tips? Just lose the ego, right?
Yeah,
Don't feel vulnerable. Who cares? You're going to learn something. So
yeah.
don't worry about going to ask for help. I think that's a key thing as well, right? Like you don't
Well,
have to be an expert in this.
of
You're
course,
going to learn.
this is the beauty of the product position. It's you have to learn a lot of things
Yeah.
all the time. For instance, I had to learn about legal stuff and data privacy a lot, because we are
But that
working
was
with
fun.
very sensitive data that is employee survey, employee data.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about legal and data privacy and everything. And I learned also about the job of a DPO, a job of a DSO, and everything. So it's super. Well, I think you have to talk to everyone in order to upskill and to find a way to automate some repetitive task. You have a lot of tools with AI today. You can miss this this way, and if you really can find out by yourself, just go to your mate and ask for help.
Ask. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you just reminded me of something here. So you were saying you can deliver on a project. They do the project. They tell everyone what they're going to do and they do the vision. how important is it once they've finished the project, once they've rolled out let's
Yeah.
say they've rolled out the project, the feedback loop stage now, how do they report on this? Because typically I see people, they do something and they put it on the shelf and it's done now. Yeah, we've got feedback loops, it's done. Oh, we've done that now. And they never come back to readdress it. So
Yeah.
what
So
kind of advice have you got for that?
user-centric mindset. So if the project is done, you will launch it. It's not done. You still have to make sure that it's working properly, that your users are happier with that than before. Sometimes not. So you have to keep doing feedback loop, making sure everyone within the team is aware of how it's working, what the change that will bring to their own processes. So it's before launching is doing some team demo, team by team, because a new feature can have some impact in your daily task for every team, talent acquisition, hiring manager, I don't know. So you really need to share what you put in place with all your coworkers, and everyone needs to understand the impact that it could have on your daily task, and see if it could bring some change, some saving time, whatever.
And what if it doesn't work, Helen? Say, for
Well,
example, you roll something out.
yeah,
Like for me, I think, well, that's great. You've learned something. You've learned something not to do, right? Don't see it as a failure. See it as a learning, firstly. But at what point do you like, right, this is really affecting it. Let's stop and let's revert back to what we had before. Even though it's not perfect, it's better than what we've just
yeah,
rolled.
of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't hesitate.
What's the
Don't
trigger point
hesitate.
for that? You can
If
just
if
see the
there is
numbers. Yeah.
so if it's not working, or if there is a big resistance of change, so no one is using it, there's no point to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So meaning that maybe communication has not been doing well, and you have to redo it and take time to educate, explain everything. I think it's really important to have everyone agree to use a new tool or a new process. It's like when you do also a reorganization of your team. This is something we are doing quite often in the project. So sometimes you say, okay, we will change the squads or the inner team on a project with we will put a project design dedicated to this project, working with the project manager, working with a dedicated data scientist, working with a dedicated developer, and also a dedicated product marketing manager. And sometimes you say, okay, this organization is not working for this kind of role, so we just change. But if you want this new organization to work properly, you have to, it's always about people. You have to bring people together, and they have to agree to change the way they will work as a team, as a new team or new organization.
So a lot of this is the soft skills, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think well, the thing is, processes can be changed, tools can be changed, everything can be changed. The thing is, it's all about people. People need to commit to a change if you want the change happening.
And I think that if you look
And they
at,
have to understand why.
yes, and I really believe that this is the thing that's missing. There's an inherent need for TAs to like justify their role, because they feel like it's constantly under threat, because it's like, God, we might not be hiring, might be hiring. I need to make sure that I'm showing value and taking the wrong decisions or solving the wrong problem and not taking the time to step back. And I think that basically what you were saying, and it's how can they find the space to take a step back to make sure they understand the why and what
I
is
think
the reason for it.
this is something that should come from the top,
Mm.
to say, okay, each week you need to keep a morning, for instance, just to gather with your teammates and other cross-functional teams, just to think. Take an agenda every week, one thing, one point, one task, one something, an issue you want to tackle, and bring some brains just to work on it. And I think you will you it's not a wasting time.
Mm.
You will gain some time afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah, in the long term, it's
Yeah,
like
in
just
the long
seeing,
term.
and it's
Yeah.
having
Well,
that.
even in the midterm.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just having more and
And
more.
it's all about, okay, um, well, just to address this issue, it could be also a personal issue because you have too many resume to screen and blah blah blah, and just make a decision very quickly. So you can also talk with other one that have maybe some process that are very useful for you, and then you list everything you need to do with all the team you gather, and everyone can take a part of it regarding their own skill and what they like to do most. And then within 2 weeks or three, you have fixed everything,
Yeah,
and you can see if it's better or not.
exactly. And it's just setting up those metrics that you're going to measure to
And if
see.
it's better, I think it's important to take some time just to communicate to everyone, explain the context, explain what you've done, and the outcome and the positive outcome.
Yeah, and that is not the ego of look at me, look what I've done, I'm here, I've done a good job.
It's also it's sharing.
Exactly. And then maybe you can share some learnings and stuff you took away and all that type of stuff, like a wash up
Absolutely.
type stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm conscious of the time, but I wanted to ask you something. I've got a question for you. If you were, let's say you're small to mid-sized startup, and you are you're the TA that's responsible for rolling out a new ATS. Okay, so having like a product mindset of like rolling out new product, new features, new stuff, right? What advice could you give to someone that was doing this, that was about to roll out an ATS, to make sure the users are going to use it, to make sure they understand, to make sure they, everything's set up properly? I don't know. What would you say?
I think if you want to pick one ATS, you will do a benchmark before. You will get some demo. You will see all the feature you need. I think you have to just explain the good and the bad of three competitors, three ATS, and explain why you think this one would be better for everyone, and also do a demo before implementing everything. Do a demo to everything and get also the feeling of all the people that will be in charge
The
of
users.
using the ATS. So
Okay.
I think it's the first thing. Always explaining and just keep some room for people just to agree or not, and then make a decision and make sure that everyone will commit and will understand why you pick this solution, because maybe it's cheaper and you don't have the resources to pick the other one that is better, but it's too expensive at your stage. So everyone understands and can commit to this choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have to onboard, train, explain how it's working, and also just make some meeting regularly, because ATS have new feature, new update, and sometimes, well, you don't want to spend some time to look at the new features. So you need someone, a bit geek, that will be able to explain this new feature and how
How
great
it works, how it helps
it
them.
could help us. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That
see,
was
this
lovely.
is what I'm doing with Notion. For
Yeah.
every new feature, I say, hey, okay, that's great. You can do this and this and this.
Yeah. I've got a problem. I'm just obsessed with products. I just constantly just trying to find a more efficient way to do something. Like some
Yeah,
people
but you
feel like
will
lazy.
finish as a product manager.
No, never. I'm like, come on, this doesn't do what I need it to do. Right. I need something else that can actually do what I need it to do. Right. Can connect to this? Yes or no? Let's go. That's my way of trying to get things to work, as you know.
Yeah.
But no, Helen, I've really enjoyed talking to you today. It's been
Yeah, me
super,
too.
super insightful. I think people can take a lot away from this because if anyone's listening that's really trying to set up like a product-led talent function, or they want to operate in a more effective way, I think
Yeah.
there's more structure to how they can actually do it, because there isn't really a playbook for recruiters on how to do it, right? And I think we just got to keep looking at ways other teams are working well and trying to
Yeah, and also your user as a, a talent acquisition team are people, are human. So you have to take this into account and to be human, and also be aware that you can be biased because everyone is biased. So it's quite good also to have a process with a diverse team all along the process, just to try to reduce some bias at each stage,
exactly.
because there are, well, social bias, cultural bias, a lot of bias. So it's quite interesting also to be aware of that, and to rely on a diverse team just to reduce bias at each stage.
Yeah, and it's
And
like recent.
also the feedback loop from candidates can help you to be more effective in the way you are leading your interview.
Exactly. And I was speaking to I was doing like a LinkedIn live thing the other day with Ben Mahoney, and he basically was saying like even with like recency bias with hiring
Yeah,
managers, they're basically like, right, I've got this big problem, I need to hire this person now because it's going to fix my problem, and basically they just throw all of the criteria out the window because they're going to fix this one problem. Yeah, great. Now you've hired someone. They've fixed the problem in 2 minutes, and now you've got like a person that doesn't fit the team, right?
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
all this type of
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have what would be your number one top tip? The number one top tip for someone that's thinking about trying to set up a more like product mindset with inside the talent team. What would it be? Don't
Uh,
do it.
Feedback loop and data.
Feedback loop and data. Okay.
Yeah, because data is more objective. It's numbers, easy. So you have the objective thing and the qualitative, and you can also have some bias in analyzing the feedbacks. And feedback should remain anonymized, because it's also a way to reduce bias.
Okay. So feedback should be always remained
Yeah,
anonymous.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a good
And
one.
if you want to improve your retention regarding gender balance, you have to ask optional, but keep it optional, the gender of the respondent.
Yeah. Okay. I like this. This is a good one. I'll put this on a YouTube Shorts. Then people can.
Okay.
Well, it was lovely to speak to you, Helen.
It's great to speak to you. Thank you
Okay.
for having me again.
That's all right. I'll
I
speak to you soon.
enjoy.